Just a week or so ago, it looked like it was an absolute surefire bet that the American League will be represented by either the Yankees or the Astros in the World Series. But don't look now. Other teams want to break in to their potential World Series party. Maybe a team from Tampa, maybe a team from Cleveland. Sounds like it's time for a roundtable version of Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Where's your team every day? This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Look, there's my lower third. Tells you that you can call me Sully. Thanks so much for making your first listeners. We're available on all your free podcasting catchers. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. You can follow me at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. I am an Emmy-nominated television producer. I've appeared on HBO Sports. I've written magazine articles, directed movies, worked on television shows, and been a stand-up comic. But for the last, 10, 11 years, I have been a baseball podcaster. And since 2019, been part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Did I mention it's your team every day? When you say, prove it, Sully, prove it. Prove it that it's my team every day. So what if, let's just take a team at random. Let's say you're a Rays fan. We got a podcast for you. In fact, by sheer coincidence, I have the host of that podcast with me. That's Ulises Sambrano from Locked On Rays. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good to see you, Sully. Thank you for the invitation, and it's a good time to be a Rays fan because things are happening, and they're happening on the positive side.
That's true. But you know what? I can still hear skepticism from my listeners and say, well, wait a minute. I'm not a Rays fan. How do I know it's my team every day? Well, let me tell you something. We also have, from the Locked On Guardians podcast, it's Jeff Ellis, and we are having an impromptu AL roundtable. How you doing, buddy?
I want Yandy back.
You can't have him. I'm sorry.
We'll give you Jake Bauers. I'm sure we can claim him from somewhere.
I'm sure you
Bauers for Diaz.
I'm sure we gave you $5 million too. So yes. Where's those $5 million? Yeah.
I mean, I'll start a GoFundMe. I'm sure I can get kind of close because we know the Cleveland ownership isn't going to give $5 million back. But
sure. Maybe the $5 million went to Ramirez's contract. Who knows?
I've never felt more like a judge in my life. This is a binding arbitration case over Yandy Diaz. I don't blame you.
My own personal history is I was covering AA when he was there when no one knew who he was. So I got to be the breaker of hey guys, Yandy Diaz. There's this third baseman, Yandy Diaz, whose arms are bigger than my head and always gets on base. And there's this long-haired pitcher named Clevenger, and I know you guys haven't heard of either of them, but these are the best prospects in the system. So I've had this love for him, and I'm very, he was nicest dude. Even though we didn't just have a shared language, he would always get an interpreter. If you wanted to speak with him, that stands out. Most guys in the minors never want to talk to media. He would go get the interpreter. Great dude. I'm so happy for his success, but I desperately want him back.
Yeah, no, he's been terrific. And I think for the first couple of years, he was a little bit underrated within the Rays fan base. But with this year being just so downtrodden with injuries, he has been kind of the offensive MVP because he's stayed healthy on the field. He is third in the league on base percentage. I mean, the guy, I think last time I looked was at 415 on base. Yeah, I know chicks dig the long ball. That's not his actual game. I believe he only has 6 home runs this season, but it doesn't matter when you're getting on base at that type of level. And he's always at the top of the lineup. He's always setting up good offensive production for the people behind him. Yandy Diaz is an underrated talent, and I am very, very happy that he's a Ray.
Well, welcome to Locked On Yandy Diaz talk. I think Jeff Ellis has frozen. Yeah, there he goes. I'm sure he'll be back. But Ulysses, let's talk briefly a little bit about the Rays. Just a few weeks ago, the Rays fell totally out of the playoffs. Just a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, Baltimore leapfrogged them, and it looked like the Rays, who had the best record in the American League last year and won the pennant just the year before that, and looked like as good a chance as any to make it 3 straight division titles entering the season, looked like, oh my God, they're going to miss the playoffs completely in an extended playoff season from Baltimore, of all teams. And then things started picking up. It's almost as if they woke up. And this series against the Yankees, which we're enjoying right now. Welcome back, Jeff. Well, I'm sure you just got so angry by the discussion of Yandy Diaz. By the way, Jeff Ellis he's the John the Baptist of the Yandy Diaz's career. He was the one proclaiming that there's this great one coming around. But we were talking briefly about the fact that Tampa Bay has picked themselves off the mat by falling out of the postseason race a few days ago when Baltimore overtook them. And as of this recording, now the Yankees and Rays are in a rain delay as we're talking right now. But if they hold on to that lead, not only will they sweep the Yankees, but they will pull to within 8 games, which again is not that's not a great record to be 8 games back in the middle of August, but it's a lot better than what it was. And the Rays are going to be playing some not as strong teams as the Yankees are going on to face Toronto and the Mets. Is there any thought of, hey, are we gonna, is it just playoffs this year, or is there any thought of the division dancing in your head?
Perspective is everything, right? Everything in context. Yeah, 8 games does seem like a lot, but when you compare it to the fact that this is a team, the Yankees were 52-18. And with more than a month to play, you're 8 games back. Well, okay, things can get exciting. And when you talk about the September schedule, which is incredibly tough for the Rays, they're basically fighting against the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Yankees, and the Astros. That's basically the main September schedule for the Rays. So it's a tough September schedule. But also, you're going to get your chances against this team again, against the Yankees. So this is overall, if the sweep happens at the Bronx, that would be terrific. You're 8 games back. Now you're getting some health back. I mean, you're right. Getting some guys like Harold Ramirez, who homered today in the third game against the Yankees. You're getting Manuel Margot, the guy who won AL Player of the Week in May, and then unfortunately got hurt against the Yankees on a play in the outfield, and has been in the 60-day IL. Wander Franco could also be back right after Manuel Margot. So now you're saying something like, oh, the Rays seem to be waking up. Yes, but not only because there's something in the atmosphere saying, hey, guys, we need to win this season series against the Baltimore Orioles. This is important. But also because guys are coming back, guys that they have missed. And they have leaned on so many rookies that have underperformed. I'm talking Taylor Walsh offensively. I'm talking Vidal Brujan offensively. I'm talking Josh Lowe offensively. They really haven't performed as we all thought that they would. So that's why they have kind of been treading water, trying to get Brendan Lau back, who, by the way, was gone for 2.5 months, people. This is a guy who hits 39 home runs, 99 RBIs last year. You missed that guy for 2.5 months. So when people say, where's Tampa been? Check the IL. Most IL guys in the whole league, 17 at a certain point. At a certain time, you literally could have made a whole pitching staff of 12 guys from the IL.
Now, question about one of those names that is currently on the IL, Glasnow. Now, Glasnow, I do not believe has pitched this year.
No.
Is he going to be coming back at all?
The latest we've gotten from the team, he hadn't been going on road trips because that's just, that's just the standard. If you're on the 60-day IL, 15-day IL, they don't want you to do the road trips. He actually got on the road trip last time when they went to Detroit. And it was because they wanted the pitching coach, Kyle Snyder, to see his bullpen work. When they interviewed both Kyle and Tyler, they both said that there is not a 0 chance of him coming back. Look at the words, not a 0 chance. So they're leaving it open-ended. And now this is my conspiracy theory that you can listen to this and many more on Locked On Rays. I think they're going to use him as a bullpen piece, as a one-inning guy. That's if you can have Tyler Glass now stuff that curveball, that slutter, like he calls it, that fastball at 100 miles an hour on the top of the zone for one inning in the playoffs or September chase, boy, that gets nasty.
Yeah. I think there may have been a little glitch in the audio right now, but hey, are we all here? Are we all
Yes.
here? Okay, groovy. All right, groovy. That's all I need to know. And hey, look at fact of the matter is that the Rays can pitch. We all saw, Shane McClanahan is having a Cy Young caliber season. Drew Rasmussen nearly threw a perfect game the other day. Corey Kluber, he may not be Cy Young Corey Kluber, but he's still a solid pitcher, even without the velocity. He's obviously his pitching intelligence that's through the roof. You take a look at their lineup; they don't really have any superstar. I mean, Rosarena is a fine player, but he's not putting together an MVP season. But they're playing well enough to win, which in so many ways makes them a dangerous team in October. There have been plenty of situations of teams who seem to have underachieved during the regular season, get into the postseason, and then wind up winning the whole thing. Thank you very much. So I think that, while there may be reasons to want them. Whoa, what happened here? I just lost my light. Oh man, all weird things are happening. Jeff Ellis is being booted out. There's an audio glitch, and now I lost my ring light. Let me see if I can turn this thing back on again.
I do want to take one moment though here while we got that and say, I think if you are a Cleveland fan watching this podcast, you should 100% be rooting for the Rays, and it's not like due to they're a better matchup, right? Like if you're not familiar with it, the Rays are Cleveland South. At points this year, they have had Fire Eisen, who's on the DL, Sean Armstrong, Corey Kluber. We talked about Yandy Diaz, Francisco Mejia, Harold Ramirez, who was with Cleveland a year ago, Yu Chen Chang. I think they've had at least 7, 8, maybe upwards of double-digit former, I think I said Guardians players.
Well, they're former Indian players because they were not Guardians.
So,
yes.
But yeah, so
Technically, you're correct.
If you are someone watching this because you're used to watching Locked On Guardians, this is also a chance to say maybe you want to check out, always check out Locked On MLB, but also check out Locked On Rays because you got it's funny between these two teams. They make a trade almost every year. We'll see what happens in the offseason. But yeah, this is like
and Kevin Cash. Kevin Cash also has the Cleveland ties.
He was the bullpen coach.
Yeah,
and my one little thing is just being the advanced stats guy. I will say, like I did this yesterday for my own show. Yandy Diaz has been an elite bat, 30th best hitter in baseball this year by runs created plus going into the day. So when I was talking about this, Guardians fans, if you're looking at who is the best bat who used to play for the Guardians, it's not Lindor by production. It's Diaz.
Wow.
And then Anthony Santander in Baltimore is close. But yeah, it is. Yandy has been the most productive hitter former Cleveland hitter this year. So just my little quick bringing it, making it all about me.
Yeah. Well, before we continue here, I just want to say to bring this message to you all. Let's say you're hanging out with some friends and you're putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance could go up. You can lose your license. You can lose your job. You can total your car. You could kill somebody. Everybody knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe. Plan ahead to get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. We are talking to Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians, Ulises Sambrano of Locked On Rays. And what do these two teams also have in common? In 2007, both of them had different names. It would have been
Just a
Locked
name
On
change.
Devil
Darn it, I
Rays
should
and
have gone
Locked
with the
On
name
Indians.
That was
There
good. I like
you
that.
go. That just hit me. That they're recent. They're recent. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we've been yapping a little bit about the Rays. Let's talk a little bit about the Guardians, who were floundering for a while as Minnesota was in first place for the majority of this year. And suddenly the Guardians put on the aft thrusters. And at one point, if you weren't paying close attention, you'd say, oh, man, the Twins have fallen apart. And the White Sox, man, they just can't get out of their own way. This is the Guardians' year. And you look at the standings and we're on the verge of a three-way tie. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have pulling back the curtain right now. The Guardians are playing right now. Are they still down?
They just had a ninth inning rally and are up 6-3.
Okay,
Everything
well,
came together. So they were down 4-3. It's kind of very dramatic because it was 4-3 in the ninth, and I believe it started off with 2 outs, right? Yeah, strikeout, and then after that, they have just unleashed a bunch of hits, and they're up 7-4 now.
Okay, okay. So, but if everything falls apart, I mean, if Cleveland wins this game, they'll have a 1-game lead ahead of the Twins, and I think it looks like the White Sox are right now losing to Houston. But by the way, that series has been going. The White Sox have been rallying late every single game against that. The last 2 nights have been real thrillers. I don't know what it's called anymore. I'm just going to call it Comiskey. Was it the Guaranteed Rate Field?
That's what I thought. Yeah.
The American League Central is turned into an absolute deadlocked race. And if I'm not mistaken, Chicago and Cleveland are going to be playing coming up soon. Am I correct on that? Or is it
the Twins?
Or is it Twins? I know there's a big series coming up. Maybe I should go to baseballreference.com, the single greatest website in the history of the planet Earth. But the fact of the matter is that for a few days there, it looked like the Guardians were ready to start to put the other teams in the dust. And it's if best case scenario has them having a 1-game lead over the second place and a 2-game lead over third place heading into late August.
Yeah, I keep bringing this up on my own show because we do our roundtables, which we do them at the start of the year. And
by the way, it is Cleveland versus the White Sox starting on Friday.
Is it?
Yeah,
the Twins must be coming up after that, so I must have it wrong in my head. But for the last 2 years, I've been hearing how this Cleveland team is full rebuild or dead, or that they're not there. And it's the one thing with this team is the youth is finally hitting. They've had 14 rookies this year, and everyone talks about coming into the year it was all Bobby Witt and Spencer Torkelson. Now it's, and for good reason, all about Julio and Adley. But Stephen Kwan is probably having the quietest, great rookie season that anyone has ever had. In a normal year, he'd be running away with the award, but Julio and again, Adley have been amazing. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that those guys don't deserve it, but Kwan is just, and he's like a fun story. Like if you're a nerdy person like me, it's like, here's a guy who brought chess playing into the locker room and does meditation with the other players to help them like remain calm. And who was it? I think like Will Benson, who was the 2016 draft was great for Cleveland. That netted them Bieber, then netted them Savale, then netted them Plesac, plus Nolan Jones and Will Benson were in the first 2 picks. And Benson was talking about, who was really scuffled through the minors about what Plesac taught him in terms of meditation and thought. And it's a fun time. And like the big name prospects haven't even hit yet. And, I was a prospect and draft analyst before I came here. And I can say I started writing about the Guardians in 2007 when those minors were like Los Angeles Angels level bad. And just going to throw that out there. And I've never in my entire time seen a minors that's just like this ridiculously deep. So it's the fun that like these, Oscar Gonzalez was left unprotected and he's been a huge part of this team. Kwan was, he's undersized, so no one wanted to give him credit. I mean, I'm even guilty of not giving him enough credit. entering this year, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. And we'll see what the young pitching does. We'll see if maybe they revisit the Sean Murphy trade talks, which seem like they got a decent way down the road. But it's a fun team, and like you gotta. Jose Ramirez is going to be on the Mount Rushmore of Cleveland baseball players in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But like, unless you're a Twins or White Sox fan, how can you not love Josh Naylor and like the energy and how much he seems to care? Like, if you love baseball, you got to love him, as long as he's not on the other side. I think it's a fun young team. I think you can go through and really say, like, this is a team that, as long as it's not your rival, you probably kind of like them.
No, from far away, I can tell you that I've enjoyed the Naylor antics. Like, that's really cool. Like, you love, as I'm sure that people from other fan bases, when Brett Phillips was array, they were like, I like that guy. I like his attitude. I like the smile. I like the pomp and circumstance. Like, if you just love baseball, there are some guys in other teams that you're gonna kind of gravitate to. I think Josh Naylor is definitely one of those, and Steve Kwan as well.
I mean, the fact that Jimenez has had a couple really great games recently and has been pretty productive.
11th best hitter in baseball this year.
Yeah, and Ahmed Rosario has been pretty productive, has had a pretty good year. Do you what? Most times when a team trades away a star player, it usually turns into a bust. I mean, the Blue Jays couldn't get Piddly-Poo for Roy Halladay. Like, what did the Orioles get for Machado, who was an MVP candidate in his prime?
And they just cut Banyan, who they got in that trade. Right? He just got signed by someone.
What did the Marlins get with Stanton too? No, I mean, yeah.
Nothing. But you see the Guardians, and it's not like either team got fleeced. I think in the end, it's one of those deals.
And God
forbid, help both teams. Yeah, that's right. Naylor was in the
as was
deal.
Hedges, as was Quantrill. Like, I mean, that's two. Both of and I liked, and I'll just be honest. It's like, I was a defender of the Clevenger deal. I panned the Lindor deal. Honestly, I panned it. So, that's one I'm going to have to eat, because I love Cookie Carrasco, and I guess I'm just all about eating and food with that combination. But like, I just didn't think it was enough. I didn't see Jimenez, though, again, entering, he was a top 10 hitter in baseball, Roy runs created plus, entering yesterday's game. He's sitting there 11th today. It's unbelievable. Higher than Jose. He's been more effective than Jose Ramirez this year for the team. So it's those two trades, you can really say built this team, because you go through this lineup, you've got Quantrill started today, I want to say too. So your starter plus 5 of the hitters, because Owen Miller also came over. So 5 of the starters and the starting pitcher, all from those two trades.
And you look at the fact that, Ramirez is not going to be 30 until next month. And he's the wily veteran of this team. Like, this team is so young.
Youngest in baseball.
Yeah, and so there's so much depth to that, and their farm system is so productive. You really have to look at this as a team that is going to be a surefire bet next year. But no, I'm not going into a BetOnline ad read at this point. But hey, Jeff, you were talking about cookies. You were talking about eating. What can you tell us a little bit about the realities of weight loss?
Here's the thing. As someone who at times has gotten big, I can tell you the first thing when you start to get bigger, when you need to start losing weight, you have to watch out for is your liver. You can get like weird little fatty deposits, and you don't want that. That's going to make your life harder. It's going to make it more difficult, because your liver is your cleanser. And I say this as someone who got to enjoy the joy of that. So if you want to help stay in shape, you want to keep yourself in a better place, you probably want to check out our good friends over at the PureHealth Research, who have the liver health formula. If you listen to my show, I talk about, hey, I love artichokes. That's one of those things that actually helps your liver a bunch. It's one of the main ingredients in the liver health formula, which is going to help wake up that liver. As you get older, everything starts to fall asleep. It feels like this is going to help all that parts of your liver wake up and be more effective, help your digestion. And as a bonus, they're going to include Curb Fit right now, which is a healthy, well, I don't know if I want to say healthy isn't the right word. It is a easy way to help you maintain your weight. It's a natural appetite suppressant. There are those that are not. That's why I just want to be careful of that. This is one from the PureHealth, from the health research people. It is a natural appetite suppressant to help you avoid those naughty foods. So you want to get the liver health formula risk-free today and get that free bottle of natural Curb Fit with your order. And it is a safe, all-natural appetite suppressant, making it easy to say no. So go to getliverhelp.com/MLB. Again, it's getliverhelp.com/MLB to get the liver health formula. And my co-host is so excited to talk about it. He is over here meowing the whole time. So again, that is getliverhealth.com/MLB. And it is endorsed by Nacho, my co-host on Locked On Guardians. He is giving it full paw up because the minute I started talking about it, he ran over. He wanted to add in and say, go check it out and get your free Curb Fit. That's getliverhelp.com/MLB.
All right, welcome to Locked On Cats. We're here with Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians.
I can go get the other one.
I don't doubt that you can. I don't doubt that you can. I don't doubt that you can.
If you saw our thing, like the reason I was top 5 for YouTube growth is just cats. That's what it's not my knowledge. It's nothing. It's just random cats.
Are you telling me I should bring my dog on the show? My dog Eleanor should be on the show.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I'll bring my succulents, you guys. Like, geez. All right. So, okay.
Cats and babies. That's the secret of my success is cats and babies.
So
cats
no succulents. Got it.
I'm leaning into what YouTube was made for.
Welcome to Locked On Cats and Babies. So what do you think now, Ulises? I think obviously you would love to see the Rays overtake the Yankees. It looks like that game is coming back off of the rain delay right now. And it looks like the Guardians are doubling up. They're up now up 8-4. So they're going to avoid. Was that going to be a sweep in Detroit that they're avoiding, basically?
No, they won the first game of the doubleheader, but they were going to lose 3-4.
That's right. That's right. I forgot there was a doubleheader that first game. Right. That's the game. Jimenez had a big game on that day. But I just want to just quickly go back to you, Ulises. Obviously, you want to pass the Yankees for the division, but short of that, do you think that getting the top wild card spot and getting that home field advantage, that the home field advantage is not going to be in? I personally, we're on the verge of the American League Central being a coin toss. It'll being like a 40-game season. Like when there's only a month left and it's at a dead heat, then doing all the analysis just doesn't matter anymore. Then it's just who happens to win the games for a month. So one of those teams is going to get the top spot because of divisions. We'll talk about that in a second. But would aiming for that top wild card spot be enough right now? Would that be considered a triumph for this particular Rays team?
I think due to, again, context and the perspective of how the season started, the way that the Yankees started, again, 52-18.
It's tough to come back from that.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. So, the top wild card would be the next best thing. And I love that you mentioned the home field advantage because there is no way that if you have been inside the most beautiful warehouse where baseball is played, which is Tropicana Field, it gets loud in there, people. When they sell out. Yeah, I know this is a big joke for non-Rays fans, but when the Trop sells out, which they do in playoff games, it's really, really tough to even hear yourself think because the sound just keeps going in and in and in. Like there is no way that sound goes out. So it can be very, very pressure-filled and I'm probably annoying and anxiety ridden for the opposition. So that's definitely something that you want to see the Rays get is that home field advantage like every other team, obviously. But I think that Trop does play really well with what the Rays have in their roster. Good pitching, good defense. They play in the turf more than other teams. And every single series, you will see either an infield pop-up or an outfield flyout where the outfielders or the infielders of that team, of that opposite team, kind of have a tough time looking at the roof with the baseball. So that's a home field advantage that, other teams don't get. So obviously, yes, I think that would be the best case scenario. But hey, if the Rays actually manage to sweep the Yankees, don't look too far away. 8 games behind the leads, 5-6 weeks left. Anything can happen.
All right, Jeff, and tell me, obviously, there's only one outcome. I mean, there is an outside chance that an American League Central can take the third wild card spot, but I think a much clearer path is to win the division and get that home field in the wild card. Tell me your thoughts. I mean, this has been an up and down year. Everyone picked the White Sox. Almost everyone picked the White Sox. I actually picked the Twins to be a wild card team because I thought they were a talented squad. I went into this year saying that Cleveland can pitch, but they can't hit. But you know what? They've been hitting quite well. Thank you very much. I've been saying the Guardians would be a really scary team in a short series because you would have Bieber going one game. You would have, you would have McKenzie going another game, Quantrill going another game, Clase closing out the game. You would just have to, squeeze out 3 runs and you'd be in good shape. What are your thoughts about this team as being a potential spoiler in October?
You talked about Class A, but the back of the pen is actually kind of deadly in its own right, as long as Tito doesn't go to Shaw, his best buddy, who is going to be the 3rd highest paid Guardian this year. At the numbers, every 5 appearances he makes from here on out, he gets an additional $150K until he gets to 60. Then it starts going up to $250K for every 5 extra appearances. But Class A, I'll say it, he's the best reliever in baseball. Edwin Diaz gets the hype train, and he's awesome as well because he's got the great intro. But Class A has given up 3 runs since May. 3 runs since May. I mean, he's otherworldly. It's something to watch him pitch. Trevor Stephan, who came over from the Yankees, greatest Rule 5 pick in Guardians draft history, for a team that constantly loses good players. They've been awful at it themselves. Has been awesome this year. Another guy with a ERA well under 3. And then I always get his name wrong, so I just call him 99. Karinchak. They're all sorts of things you can talk about with him. He seems to have figured out how to pitch without the sticky stuff, or he's figured out how to hide it better. Yeah. But he has looked like the guy 2 years ago when he was an elite reliever. So it's really like, can they just get a starter who can, get him through 6 and then go to the pen? I mean, that the back end there really sets them up well. And yeah, Bieber and McKenzie 1-2 match up with just about anyone. There are teams that have a better 1-2, but it's not a huge gap. I mean, there's that part of me that always has like the idea of more like put Quantrill in game 1, Bieber game 2, McKenzie game 3, just shift your entire lineup down, not ace versus ace, take advantage of it. I know when I used to play OOTP leagues, I would always shift my starters. I would love to see a team actually do that. So you gain the bigger advantage in those next 2 games. But yeah, and like I said, the fun part is, their top 2 prospects, Espino and Williams, are in the upper minors and are ready to go. Like this is a team that's set up for some fun. But yeah, they got the pen. They've got, the starting pitching. I would not want to face them in a short series.
I think one of the things that could make them also very dangerous, and when you're going to play in that wild card round, you're going to burn your top 2 pitchers. And so let's just say they win, but you're not going to be starting McKenzie and you're not going to be starting Bieber in game 1. But that's one thing that could actually come if let's say they win the 2 games, okay? They take it 1-2. You could start Quantrill against the Yankees' top starter or Houston's top starter, and then have Bieber and McKenzie against their 2 and 3. And next thing you know, your chances of stealing a couple of games, I think, skyrockets.
Yeah. No, like I said, I've never understood why teams listen. There's degrees of luck, and it's not even punting the first game. As a fan of the Guardians, it's like the one year we've made the World Series in recent times is the year that like half the pitching staff was hurt. We all know it's luck in the postseason. So if you can shift the luck in 2 games and it costs you a little bit in 1 game, I actually think it's advantageous. There was I think it was like in Chinese history, I'm trying to remember what the gambling thing was, but it's literally like something that came up. I was reading a book recently talking about like an ancient thought process in China of this idea of like, it was with horse racing. And it was, you send your best horse in the second race and your second best horse in the third race because you have a better chance of winning that way, staggering it. So
Yeah.
it's we're talking about something that's an idea in competition for thousands of years now. So I'm always kind of surprised that no one has ever done that, because I've seen it oftentimes used in like simulation stuff, but we have never seen it at the MLB level.
Yeah, and if only Carrasco and Salazar were fully healthy in 2016. But I don't mean to go there. Ulises, you and I were teasing this before the beginning of the show. You have an idea of how to save baseball's divisions. I have my version of it. Why don't you tell everyone yours?
Sure, I am sick and tired of divisions. I feel that 2023, the schedule being that you're not going to face your divisional rivals 19 times, now you're going to face them 14 times. I think that's a step in the right direction, because then not only you get to see other teams more and the other stars, you get to see the Shohei Ohtanis and the Mike Trouts and the Fernando Tatis when he's not getting clipped by 80 game suspensions. You get to see that, and that's good for baseball, to get everybody to see the stars, right? Not to be so, one dimensional. That's a first step. But I would go a step further, which is eliminate completely the divisions, completely. Just go retro style. Just go American League. Here are the 15 teams. National League. Here are the other 15 teams. And then the best teams with the best records would advance to the playoffs. Like, keep the playoffs as you want. The 3 wild cards. I hated the wild card expansion. Whatever, I'll take the L on that. Fine. You want to get more revenue, TV revenue. You want more money. You want more regional markets to be interested in the product. Fine. I'll take the L. But make this work better. The best teams should be the ones to go to the playoffs. And just because your division is crappy and you get to win it, that doesn't mean that you should be above other teams that are maybe fourth in another division but have more wins than yours. So that's what I would do. Just completely eradicate divisions and just go best teams go in. That's the end.
And we saw one of the hazards of divisions last year, where you had the San Francisco won 107, Los Angeles won 106. Those are the 2 best records in baseball. And yet the Dodgers had to play a 1-game playoff to survive. And then the 107 and 106 win teams had to play each other in the division series. So it was set up to guarantee that one of the 2 best teams was not going to make it to the League Championship Series. It was even worse in 2015, when the 3 best teams in baseball were St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Chicago, the Cubs. And it was set up that the Cubs and Pirates, one of them would be eliminated in the wild card, and then one of them would be eliminated in the division series. So it was guaranteed that only one of the 3 best teams in baseball was going to make it to the League Championship Series. Now, I would take it even a step further. I mean, my idea is total realignment, that you have.
Yes, I like this.
American League East, American League South, American League Central, American League West. And you basically create 4 divisions. And those teams, it's geographic, it's rivalries. The A's and Giants are in the same division. LA, Angels, Red Sox, Phillies, Mets. Like there's some that will be a little tough. Like the South would include the Texas teams. Texas versus Atlanta and all them. There's some teams you may go, is this a Central team or a West team? There's going to be some things that we'll figure out, but we'll have never everything as stupid as Atlanta in the West and St. Louis in the East, as they did in the old version of the division, or Chicago in the East and Chicago in the West. Right. Remember they had the White Sox were in the West, but the Brewers were in the East. Never very good with geography. But I would
love the Brewers in the Central, being a Milwaukee a resident now. That would just make my life easier. For the sake of me, can we put the Brewers and the Guardians in the same division?
I just think it's like the reason it set up American League National League is because in 1901, Ban Johnson decided to create a rival league to the National League. And good for Ban Johnson, you were successful. But, at this point,
And I mean, the Brewers were in the American League until what? The expansion, and C League agreed to move them. They were an American League team until the the 90s,
But
right?
then Houston, who
We
I still
Houston, we just saw them in 2012. What? No, 2012, maybe a little bit earlier than that. But yeah, they were a National League team.
forever.
Yeah, so I understand that baseball gets its, the big thing about narrative and storytelling and tradition.
Yes.
Like I get it, and I don't think we should just get away from all of that. But that doesn't mean that you just have to get hold of these things that happened 120 years ago and then like never change them. Like that doesn't make
It's
sense.
always been
Like
changed. We have a designated hitter now.
yeah.
And I think the fact that we have a designated hitter that's universal, now there's no difference between the two leagues. That was something I always liked. There was a difference between the two leagues. They played
Right.
one style of baseball in the National League, one style in the American League. Now, I did not want a universal DH, but I was not willing to die on that hill because that was such a sticking point to actually have a season. Remember, guys, how much fun it was doing a podcast during the lockout? Not sure there's going to be a season. We're going to have 162 games this year, and it's a pretty cool season.
Yeah.
That lockout seems like it was a long time ago. And if the universal DH was one of the compromises to have a season, fine. But that also means, what's the difference between the two leagues? Nothing.
None. Nothing. So make baseball work better. And I'm happy to hear that you are okay with getting rid of divisions. And I love your step further. Yeah, make the Marlins, Braves, the Rays, maybe even the Rangers and another team make a division. I love that. Like, be a little bit more conscientious of the travel. I mean, can we also not talk about the Mariners are kind of on a little island by themselves. They're in Seattle, but all of the AL East teams, the Red Sox, Orioles, Yankees, Toronto, they have pretty easy flights compared to what Tampa has to make.
Yeah. To New York 100%. To Philadelphia, that's a quick drive.
They can take the train if they wanted to, for God's sakes.
It's natural city rivalry. Like Philadelphia and New York hate each other. Like that there's no logic in that. And I mean, here's the thing. Maybe if a Philly fan wants to yell at me, they can yell at me because I don't know. But like, are they like the Nationals are relatively too new? I don't think that's a huge rivalry.
But I know there's some with the Mets. They won recently. And that does add something to it.
But there's some with the Mets, there's some with the Braves. But wouldn't like a Phillies fan rather hate on the Yankees? But also on the other side, I also wonder if they'd rather not want to face them.
With Baltimore getting better, having Baltimore and Philadelphia butt heads.
Ooh, would love that.
We could create new rivalries here. And in order for my scheme to work, you would have to expand by two teams. And this is the longest we've ever gone without an expansion since the first expansion.
Agreed.
So I would put it. I mean, like I personally would love to see a team in Portland. I would love to see. There are like someone could make the argument for Vancouver, Nashville. I don't want to see a team in Las Vegas, but there's always
Montreal.
talk of that.
Bring back the Expos.
I would love to bring back the Expos. Buffalo seemed to support them when they showed up there. I think the two Charlotte. I think the two obvious ones for me. I think Nashville is a no-brainer. I think they can support a team, and I think there's enough people who are with deep roots and identity of Nashville.
Detroit could use a real major league team.
Oh, there, shot across the bow. But
I'll say, you know what? Before we get to see expansion, though, my team needs to do something, and an Oakland team also needs to do something. Fix the stadium situation.
In fairness, with Detroit, I predicted them to finish second in the division, but I was literally just like, what team was playing really poorly this year? So sorry to Detroit fans. They know that I love that team.
They have to figure out what to do with Oakland and their stadium. Are they going to move them or not? As someone who spends a lot of time in the Bay Area, I would love to see the A's stay, but I also see the practicality that it may, the Bay Area may not be able to support two baseball teams. They've always struggled with two teams. There's only been one or two periods in time where both teams drew well. And I think a team can certainly work in Central Florida. I think they've never had a chance because they were playing in a stadium that was designed in the mid '80s, and it was put in to paraphrase Raiders of the Lost Ark. They're digging in the wrong place. They put the stadium in the wrong place.
It's the worst 30-minute radius population of all MLB. Like, you have more dolphins living near the Trop than actual human beings. So, move it down to the other side of the bay.
And you also see, like, people who will trash on Rays fans. I will make this point. the Rays get very good TV ratings. The Rays have a very strong following, and Tampa Bay has come out very, very well, thank you very much, in supporting their hockey team. Freaking hockey in Central Florida is a draw with absolute. Now, it helps the fact that they've been in 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, winning 2 of them, but still, they have a tremendous support for the team. I think if you put a stadium I'll say it. San Francisco was considered a lost cause. They were going to ironically move to Tropicana at one point.
Yeah.
And now they are one of the model franchises with the best stadium, I'll say it, the best stadium in baseball. If you put the stadium in the right place, Candlestick Park, when Stoneham moved the Giants to San Francisco, he asked the mayor of San Francisco, where's the worst place we can put a stadium? And he said, Candlestick Point. I said, okay, break out the shovels. We're going to build. Because I know I've used this analogy before, but Candlestick Park was right next to a bluff. And a little bit of wind that started off in Kyoto and gained speed somewhere around Hawaii would hit that bluff and swirl around there, and it would be the planet Hoth in a game in the middle of August. There's pictures of me, my father, and my buddy Greg going to games at Candlestick Park in August, wearing ski parkas and snow hats, looking
Unreal.
like we just tripped a walker.
So I got something for you guys in this discussion because I decided to go Google something.
Is it about Blue Nile? Blue Nile, if you're trying, I'm sorry.
Sorry, not about Blue Nile. Nothing about the Nile in this one. So, we're talking about like where expansion could happen to a degree. Can you guess what either of the top 3 largest metropolitan areas are with no sports team?
I'm going to say Austin.
Austin is number 2.
Okay.
Portland?
No, because they got the Trailblazers.
They have the Trailblazers.
Oh, the
no
Trailblazers.
sports at all. So you're
no sports
you're
at all.
getting a market that's huge.
In honor of my cousins who live there, I'm going to say Albuquerque.
Not even in the top 10 here.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Does Raleigh have anything?
Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes.
And I can't think of the other one. I thought there was something else.
Well put.
Very. No, so the number 1 is Riverside San Bernardino.
But that's practically Angels country.
And then they have Virginia Beach, Providence, Louisville, Richmond, Hartford.
Louisville would be interesting.
Yeah.
But I think Nashville could get that market. I think that Nashville, Nashville would be a huge draw, I think.
And the Louisville Bats is a AAA affiliate, right, for the Reds. So they're pretty famous. They're like the Durham Bulls. Like they're a much well-known minor league team than the average minor league team.
The A's were thinking of moving to Louisville in the 1960s from Kansas City and renaming themselves the Kentucky Colonels. And some people thought it was because Charlie O'Finley was so cheap that he wouldn't have to change the KC hats that they had.
It's good. I like that.
All right. Well, we are approaching hour 4 of this round table. But hey, we're gonna have a fun last month of the season coming up here. Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians, where can people follow your great show?
Locked On Guardians on YouTube. We're over 500 subscribers now. We're keeping our push for 1,000. That's my daily thing. And then find me on Twitter at JeffMLBDraft. If you were curious, the horse racing thing I dug out, it's Tianjis. So it's a game theory based idea from ancient China. We're bringing in game theory and ancient Chinese horse racing on this podcast today. It's got it all. But yeah, if you want more things like that, you can check out me at JeffMLBDraft or check out Locked On Guardians.
And you're going to be hosting the brand new Locked On Ancient Chinese Horse Racing podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your ancient Chinese horse race all the time. Hey, Ulises Sambrano of Locked On Rays, or is it Locked On Devil Rays? I'm not sure because they sometimes bust out the Devil Rays unis. I think they did in the World Series a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Tell people where they can follow you.
They can follow us at Locked On Rays on Twitter, Instagram, and of course, we're driving people to YouTube. We're also on that path to 1,000. However, we're only at 440 subscribers. So give us a little bit of a help there and subscribe on YouTube. And hopefully we can be all like Sully and reach the 1K mark.
What was that?
1K mark. We want to be like you, Sully. We want to be like you, Sully. We want to have more subscribers.
We have 1,000 subscribers?
I'm pretty sure you're there, or very close.
This is
I'm
not.
pretty
I did
sure.
not. This is news to me. But hey,
Well,
and you could follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Breaking down the other teams that have images of an AL pennant dancing in their head. Ulises Sambrano of Locked On Rays, Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, I'm begging you, call me Sully.